We have a Chris and Company first. We have a Chris and Company first today. Now we'll break down the exact scheduling regarding what happened, but if you're watching this episode right now and you see the title, nobody is not some like rapper's pseudonym. Nobody is because nobody showed up. We had an interview scheduled, and for the first time in Chris and Company history, actually, to be honest, for the first time in Chris Castellani history, we have a no-show. When you're a content creator, and especially when you do an interview show, my whole thing is, regardless of who the guest is, and I do want this show to evolve, and I do want this show to get to a point where maybe we have some people on who I've been kind of critical of in the past, but no matter what, no matter who comes on my show, you are doing me a favor by being on my show. I will always be cordial towards you because you are doing me a favor. I cannot say that today because the person who I invited to be on my show has not showed up. Now, I know how this works. Earlier this week, I tweeted who the guest was going to be. I've since deleted that tweet. I'm not going to go into any detail about who this is. And look, I have a very loyal fan base, and I'm not even mad today. Truly, people have their own stuff that they got to work through. People are busy. Like I said, it's early in the morning here. We scheduled this original. I like to have these out middle of the week. So we originally scheduled this interview to be done on Monday. They then had to reschedule. And so we are recording this right now on Thursday morning. And this person no-showed. So look, I'm not going to say who it is. Maybe we reschedule, maybe we don't. I'll be honest, at this point, it's not terribly important to me. No hard feelings at all, but considering that this is something of a monumental occasion in the world of Chris Castellani, not to say that I'm not used to disappointment. I mean, I think I'm a Detroit sports fan. I think that comes with the territory. But this one, this is a bit of a surprise. I was looking forward to this interview. I came prepared. I did my research. I was excited to talk, and the person just didn't arrive. So it's a little bit too early to pivot and go get another guest. I am going to talk to Austin, and we're going to try to work on maybe stockpiling some guests over the next several weeks to ensure that this doesn't happen again. So obviously, no interview. I mean, when you do an interview show and the interview subject doesn't show up, we're probably not going to get a whole lot of a listenership or viewership in this episode, which I understand. Not only is our fastball missing, but so is our curveball, our changeup, and our splitter. But I want to just take this opportunity to talk to my audience a little bit. Not just the audience of this show, but the audience that has been consuming my content for a while. And I'm not going to get into or go into full detail here necessarily because I feel like, oh boy, if there's a guy on the internet who is guilty of oversharing, it's definitely me at this point. But I think that I've been kind of alluding to things, maybe leaving people in the dark to a certain extent. And while like I said, I'm not going to give you 100% of the details. I'll just kind of tell you where my mind is at right now. And because I do want to give you an episode today. Like I do want to talk about something, and I feel like at the beginning of some of these shows, I might say something. At the end of some of these shows, I might say something. But let's metaphorically open Pandora's box here for a second. Look, a lot of people, when they talk about my existence, that makes it sound like people spend time talking about me, but you just hear me out. There's who I was prior to the Spencer Turnbull no-hitter in 2021, and there's, who I've been since then, right? The truth is, I wasn't some guy that just woke up one day, made a video where a guy threw a no-hitter and then got discovered by Barstool. The first time that I ever posted a piece of content to the internet, I was 12 years old. was January 20th, 2008. I did a movie review for the film Cloverfield. And really, this was before I knew what content was. It was more obviously a hobby. I was in 6th grade at the time, so I'm not really looking to do things professionally. And I genuinely love making content on the internet. I love putting stuff together. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself some auteur by any means, but now that I have Austin to collaborate with, it's like making mini movies. I like telling stories, and I like interacting with people and interviewing people. And you know, I'm not going to open up this whole can of worms, but yeah, I'm. The passage of time has not healed a lot of wounds. I'm frustrated with the way a lot of things have gone, and I've had the benefit of having some really incredible supportive people in my life. Austin, who's probably putting the fixings on this right now, is one of them. But you have to grow up a lot. You have to grow up a lot, and when you are fortunate enough to have some opportunities like what I've had, you got to do it publicly. You're going to flame out publicly. You're going to succeed publicly. You're going to fail publicly. And people have seen it. And there's been a lot of restless nights as I've kind of tried to come to terms with where the present is at and what the future might be at. And that the hardest lesson you learn over time is that, the clock kind of struck midnight. I mean, people are done showing you any sort of sympathy or giving you the benefit of the doubt. And I get it. Look, I'm 29 years old. I would argue developmentally, I'm probably a bit younger than that. It sounds bad to say, but the one defense I'll give myself here, and I understand completely that other people would have handled this situation much, much differently and much, much better. Totally open about that. But, I was a part-time content creator who was also working part-time at a gas station, who was, I had 20,000 followers on Twitter, so I'm not going to say obscurity, but I went from a place where this was just, oh yeah, I kind of follow this guy, he's kind of fun, to being a part of one of the biggest, coolest sports media companies in the world. And the evidence is out there. I'm not going to recap everything that happened, but I think I kind of had to pause for a minute and say, well, what's the next step for you? Because, I'll be real, most of the comments that I read, and even some things I got from some people around me, was you got to move on to something new. This isn't for you. You had your shot. You blew it. It's done. Give it up. And I guess there's a solid possibility that those people are correct. Truly. You had your shot, you fumbled the bag, you blew it, and you got to live with that. And there was a moment where I'm like, yeah, those people are right. I think I'm done with this. And the question I had to ask myself was, do you want to give this up because you want to give it up? Or do you want to give it up because other people are telling you to give it up? And I feel a much greater responsibility at this point, because we've had Austin be a part of this. And I know I mentioned him a lot and I praise him a lot, but it's the spark and jolt of creative energy that just being able to collaborate with one other person has done for me, really, since the year started. The first piece that we worked on was the piece in Ann Arbor, the night of the national championship game. It's added a lot, and I'll just be real. The numbers aren't there right now. The Tiger videos do great. Tiger videos do wonderful, and the post-game videos are solid. But the YouTube numbers need to improve. It's a very weird place when you climb to the top of the mountain, you fall off the mountain, and all you want to do is just climb back up. I think, is that the definition of insanity? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes there's a fine line between insanity, resiliency, whatever you want to call it. But it's definitely been a strange time. I have been able to, over the last several months, really just hone in on the Tigers stuff and enjoy that and enjoy. I mean, the run the Tigers had, how ridiculous was that? They went 38-11. And I got asked this the other night, but during that run, and there were some moments that I'm not going to say alluded to this necessarily, but like, you know, there was, it was in the back of my head during that run. I'm like, holy shit, I'm catching another break. Like, this is Turnbull's no-hitter part 2. This is stars aligning. Tigers are going on this crazy run. And then the season ended. And it's like, you're still here. You had a lot of fun. This was amazing. And I wasn't truly, when doing all that Tigers stuff, when they were playing at Comerica and going to the watch party and they were making their run, my number one goal was like, just enjoy this. Don't focus on what the future is going to look like. And the video I made, I was so sad it was over because I truly had the time of my life doing that. That was the most fun I've ever had watching sports. And that's coming from somebody who watched one of his favorite teams win a championship last year. I mean, this was the most unexpected, how the hell did that happen run? And I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I love Michigan football and I love Michigan basketball. And I've loved the Lions, but like, you guys know it's different with Tiger stuff. It just is. The response is different. The connection is different. I think I said at one point probably on one of my Mopey streams where I said, man, I really hope that like the number one thing I'm known for isn't making Tiger videos. I don't know. I probably said that at some point, probably multiple times. I'll tell you something. If I live to a ripe old age and the only thing people know me for is the guy who does like post-game videos about the Tigers, that I will have lived a very good life. This is, I mean, of course, there's more things I want to do. There's more content I want to make. I want to expand. I want to diversify. I want to collaborate, do the interview show. But like, this all started with, you know, silly post-game videos that I did in my college apartment. And that's really, really cool. And I think the journey that we've been on has been very unconventional. And there was a time, I think you're probably always very idealistic in your 20s. You're probably always very self-righteous. I think that there was a time where I'm like, man, I'm not only going to create content, but I'm going to tell my story. And I think I even said to myself, I don't know if I said it publicly, when I got hired by Barstool, is like, I want to be the heart of Barstool. I want to tell stories at Barstool that other people haven't been able to tell. I want it to be this, like, I don't know if I ever specifically used the word inspirational, but probably in the back of my head. And now looking back on it, it's like, who gives a shit? Just go make funny things that make people laugh. That's all that matters. You don't have to carry some burden. You don't have to be, you know, somebody's inspirational story. Just do funny shit. Just make things that people enjoy. You know, you get lost in the sauce sometimes when, you know, you feel as though you got to represent something. You're not. All you got to do is just make things people like. And you know, I got assurance, you know, multiple times that I belong there, and that, you know, that would have self-sabotage, what have you. It's, you know, things change and you grow up. I'm really glad and I'm really proud that we're in a much better place now, and that I feel like we've grown, and you guys have been such a huge part of that, because I'll just be completely real. When I left my last job, I thought the fan base would leave with me. And one thing that I've learned over the last several months is that connection is still there. I feel closer to the fan base in Michigan and in Detroit than I ever have. And that's become very humbling, because you try to put on a brave face, but I'll be real with you. It felt like the entire world was falling apart. And Austin and I have talked, and, you know, he's very much a part of this. Like, I've told him I can't guarantee him anything. The only thing that I can promise him is that, like, you are a part of this. I don't know how much leverage I'm going to have, right? But Chris and company, I'll say this. All the vlogs that we've done do not exist if not for Austin Sisler. I think that I spent way too much time bitching and moaning about the things I didn't have. And then you find something, well, sorry, I punched my mic. And then you find something and it's like, now the ball's rolling, because I do think, again, maybe I'm wrong. I do think I am a content creator. I do think I am an on-camera guy. I think that this started by me doing on-camera shit and talking to you guys. And I, you listen to the noise, but I still believe that a well put together, I mean, who's ever 100% right, but close to 100% right, Chris Castellani can do some really cool, interesting things. And I'm going to continue to try to prove that. The sad truth, and I've told Austin this, and you feel bad, you know, that you carry this burden with you, is the fact that with me, because of the past, and I'm very proud that it's the past. I don't talk about this a ton anymore, guys, but we're a month away from being 2 years clean. Like, that's not bad. It's all right. That's pretty good. But with me, there's kind of two questions that people ask now. And unfortunately, because he's done so much for me, Austin's kind of a part of this, which is, number one is, what's the content look like? And number two is, how is he? Right? You know, is he stable? And, you know, you got to hug the cactus for a while. You can call it arrogance. I do have a belief in this, and maybe the numbers don't reflect it. And I know, trust me, I know that there are people around me who think that this is, you know, not sustainable. And I get it. I get it, especially after what happened. You know, I mean, how many opportunities can be handed like that? But every person I've ever talked to, whether it was Chris and company or back when I interviewed John Boy for Locked On, the one piece of advice I always ask them is, and they always say, is like, as cliche as it sounds, not giving up is the best course of action. And if you do give up, do it because you want to. Don't do it because other people want you to. One of the greatest, coolest privileges, and sometimes it's a curse, of my life is the fact that so much of what I do is documented. And I think the Tiger videos are a reflection of this. I've even said this in the past, where it's this weird diary of my life. I've done Tiger videos where I've been in an awesome mood. You guys have seen them. I've done Tiger videos where I've been in a terrible mood, and you've seen them. I've done them when I was skinny. I've done them when I was fat. And if the come down was documented, the comeback will be as well. I think you know where I want to be. Where you want to be and where you end up are two completely different things. A lot of that stuff I don't have any control over. And I've mentioned it before. There might just come a day where these shows just become what a lot of people expect them to be, which are hobbies, or we just stop doing them because of, you know, time. You know, there's only so many hours in the day. But regardless, this will always be my favorite thing that I get to do. Really, is this. And we didn't have somebody show up today, and I'm not crushed by it. I hope that this at least makes for a somewhat interesting viewing slash listening experience. The one thing I do know for certain, and this is step number one, is I'm doing a lot better. Now, doing a lot better has never made a single person $1. like maybe over time, but like, you know, it's that is only worth so much. But for me, it's a start. So I honestly, I didn't expect to wax poetic about this for as long as I have, but I don't know. they didn't want me to talk, our guest would have showed up. I mean, one of the appeals of doing this show is that I shut up for a while. I think I'm actually a pretty good interviewer. I mean, do I like to hear myself talk? Yeah, I think I'm pretty good at it. But one of the appeals of doing the show is that, like, you know, I can kind of just sit back and stroke my chin and listen to other people tell their stories. I think one of the best things with this show and with the vlogs that we've done, and really just collaborating with Austin in general, is the fact that so much, and by so much, I mean like 99% of my content is me talking to a camera, often in the basement. Now, as far as that lane is concerned, and that's a very specific lane, I think I'm pretty good at that. But one of the reasons why I was so wide-eyed and, you know, bushy-tailed the first year that I was working at my last job was, you know, I got to talk to people more. You know, you could go on a show and talk about sports with people, or talk about gambling, or, you know, you talk about Detroit sports or baseball. It's awesome. So I think collaboration is going to be a very important thing going forward. And thankfully, I have a built-in collaborator that is Austin. So this will, at least up to this point, go down as the weirdest episode in Chris and Company history. You can follow me on Twitter at Castellani 2014. All links to all my socials are going to be in the description for this video. We are going to upload this. I mean, I'm going to send this to Austin, and, you know, we'll see where it goes. But, you know, I guess at least it's an opportunity for me to get some stuff off my chest. And if you watch my streams like I do, I talk about this stuff every night, but things are going to be fine. Things are going to be fine. You have to keep telling yourself that, because if you don't, then things aren't going to be fine. And then you panic, you know. I don't know what next week is going to be if we get this guest back. Honestly, at this point, and again, I don't even mean this as a negative. I don't really have much interest at this point in trying to reschedule again. Not because I'm mad, but just because, okay, if this person's busy, they're busy. You know, they have, every guest that I have ever booked for my show has significantly more going on in their life than an episode of Chris and Company, you know, and you got to respect that. So if they're busy, they're busy. I totally understand it. We're going to try to be back with another guest next week. I do apologize, obviously, but the train that is Chris and Company will continue to roll down the track, whether people want to be on board or not. Thank you very much, everybody. Shout out Austin. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get those watch hours up. Onward forth. I love you guys to death. Thank you, truly, for the continued support. And sorry that this episode's a little bit wonky, but hopefully you get something out of it. Have a good one, everybody. Peace and happiness.